back to No Planet B, the podcast brought to you by the Energy and Sustainability Club of IIT Bombay. These will be warm, engaging, and thought provoking conversations about energy transition, sustainable future, and the choices shaping our planet's future. I am Hirna Kachi, convener of Energy and Sustainability Club, with my co convener Krishnansh Mishra. And today we have a very special guest joining us, Mr. Sanjiv sir, to share his insights and experiences. So thank you sir for joining us today in this podcast and we are delighted to move the discussion forward.
Thank you so much, Hirna and Krishnans. It's an honor to be part of
Thank you.
these conversations from IIT Mumbai and your, what is it called, society?
So
Energy and
it is
Sustainability
Energy
Club.
and Sustainability Club.
Club. Okay. Energy and Sustainability Club.
Okay, so before moving ahead, let me first introduce our audience to our special guest who has spent over 35 years at the heart of global steel industry. Mr. Sanjeev Paul served as Vice President of Safety, Health and Sustainability at Tata Steel, where he played a central role in driving the company's sustainability agenda. What makes his journey particularly remarkable is the breadth of his influence, from chairing the global sustainability community of World Steel to leading industry bodies like CII and FICCI at the national level. He is someone who has worked across industry, government, and civil society, always with a focus on creating real and lasting impact. So, we welcome you, sir, and let's begin with the questions.
Thank you, Krishnan. That was a wonderful introduction.
Yes, sir. So I would like to take a step back to where it all began. You have spent nearly 40 years with the Tata ecosystem. Looking back at the young graduate trainee in 1986, what is the one decision early in your career that had biggest impact on who you became as a leader?
Yeah, Hirna. It's very difficult to uh, put a finger on one such decision, but I had the um, fortunate or unfortunate knack of picking up the most difficult assignments. And right from the beginning, it was, I don't know, because at that point in time, when you are 20, 21 years of age, you're not really thinking too much. Uh, you want to be in the midst of action. And I saw a lot of action in operational jobs. Okay, those were not really heavy on technical side, but they were very heavy on cross functionality, on leadership, on management of people, and on impact on the organization. So those are the kinds of jobs that I picked up, and I wouldn't say that I was extremely successful all the time. I faced a lot of setbacks, but kudos to this company, Tata Steel, which allowed a young man to make mistakes and learn from those mistakes. And something that I also allowed as I grew in the organization to people who worked uh, under me in the organization, because my bosses at that point in time, they were very understanding. They were very empathetic. They realized that the guy is putting in an effort, making a mistake once in a while. And if he learns from those mistakes, it's an investment for the future. Something that I also followed going forward. And I think it is those kinds of habits supported by the leadership of that time that were a major decisive factor on what I became going forward.
So your philosophy is similar to there is always some room for mistakes.
Hina,
Right.
one of the leaders of Tata Steel was Mr. Rusi Modi. He was the chairman and managing director when we joined, a very charismatic leader. And Tata, the group Tata has been very fortunate to have very charismatic leaders in JRD, Rusi Modi, Dr. Irani, Ratan Tata, Cyrus, and now Chandrasekhar, Narendran. So many, people who have been Muthuraman, who have been the right kind of people at the right time in the organization. And Bruce Modi, since I was talking about him, had a very famous saying that if, as a manager, you make 7 out of your 10 decisions right, you are a great manager. If you do anything more than that, you are either God or something close. People make mistakes. That's human.
That's good
Yeah.
to know. Moving forward,
Please go ahead.
sir, over your career, your portfolio has been incredibly diverse, spanning steel making, urban infrastructure, corporate services, and sustainability. Was there a specific moment or a turning point when you realized that leadership is ultimately less about technical expertise and more about people?
Um, to my mind, Hirna, leadership has always only been about people. You can't lead machines,
Yes, sir.
buildings, furniture, right?
Yes, sir.
Ultimately, you lead people. So leadership has always been about people. And when did it hit me? As a youngster, you really don't. Leadership is a jargon. You look to perform as a team, as a leader, and you look to deliver results. But when did it really hit me? It hit me when I led large transformational projects. Tata Steel in the late 90s uh, was at the cusp of a major change. Dr. Irani was the managing director at that point in time. He and Ratan Tata was the chairman, and many large consultants, prestigious consultants, had told them that steel is a sunset industry, and the group Tata needs to get out of steel. But better sense prevailed, and Mr. Tata and Dr. Irani decided that that is not what is going to happen. Steel is our flagship company for the group Tata, and we would rather make it turn around and make it look not sunset, but a sexy and young company all over again. And one of the things that they did was they hired a consultant to help Tata Steel transform its operational performance. And a program was launched called Total Operational Performance Enhancement, TOP. Okay. And I had the good fortune of leading that multifunctional transformational team. And that is the point when it hit you that you are invested as the leader in ensuring that your people succeed, because in their success lies the success of the team and the success of the organization. And very often, to be able to do that, you have to surround yourself with people who are far more technically strong and competent than you are. And you have to be prepared to be not the top dog in the room, yet be the leader. Ensure that the people around you are motivated and committed to deliver for the cause of the team, for the cause of the organization. And that is how uh, organizations succeed. And happy to actually state that top, and if you ask anyone in Tata Steel, they'll tell you that top has been one of the most important transformation journeys of Tata Steel. This was around 26 odd years ago, and people would still recall 29 odd years ago, and people would still recall that as the most important transformational journey that Tata Steel underwent. People who joined even after that journey we continued for 3 to 5 years. And because it was very intense and sapped the energy of the organization during that period, but delivered immense results, that it was stopped at that point in time and subsequently came back in different forms. But that is where it all began. And if you want to ask me when did it hit me, that is probably the time that it hit me, and it stayed with me going forward.
Thank you, sir. That's a very good insights, and it's very valuable to know this valuable quote that if you are the smartest in the room, then you are in the wrong room. That's a very valuable quote. Yes, and it's very good to know that you were leading such a transformational part of Tata Steel. So moving ahead with the questions, when you took charge of sustainability at Tata Steel, it was not as mainstream as it is today. How did you convince a heavy industry like Tata Steel manufacturing that sustainability should be a core business objective rather than a compliance exercise?
So, Krishnan, first of all, I must tell you that it is the company who had to make the effort to convince me to pick up this job. Okay, I was a managing director of a Tata company at that point in time, leading Tata Metallics. It was a transformational journey there as well, where we turned around that company, loss-making company, which had a share price of 35 rupees when I began, and by the time I was moved out, the share price moved to around 800 rupees. So I was very happy doing what I was doing there. Being a business leader is what you aspire to be, and then asked to come back to Tata Steel to lead subjects like sustainability, safety. I had my doubts, but kudos again to the leadership of that time, which was still the leader now, Mr. TV Narendran, who sort of seduced me into believing, and rightly so, that this was these two, sustainability and safety, these were the two most difficult subjects for a steel company. And why sustainability is important? Because the future of the steel company will depend on that. It is an existential problem for the steel sector. And whilst I did not understand it too much at that point in time, this was 2017. I trusted Mr. Narendran and Kaushik Chatterjee, who was the chairman of Tata Metallics and the executive director in Tata Steel. I believed them, I trusted them and I moved into Tata Steel, leading these things. But I did realize that I was not knowledgeable enough about this subject to be able to lead this transformational journey for Tata Steel. So, in consultation with these leaders, I decided to take up training on the subject at the Cambridge Institute of Sustainability Leadership. And that is where it opened my eyes. And I realized that you need to reframe the entire subject of sustainability into long term risk management and business resilience rather than it being a moral obligation. Unless you spoke in the language of business and made sure that people understood that capital will flow in the direction of organizations which risk proof them for the future. And in the steel industry, sustainability was actually risk proofing itself. And this is understanding that I got when I went through this program, and I realized that if I need to move this forward and look to transform the organization, I need to start with the stakeholders. And the biggest stakeholder in this entire journey was the board of Tata Steel itself. So, how do you convince the board to begin with? So, again, kudos to the leadership of Tata Steel, Narendran and Kaushik, that we decided together that we'll get since I had been to training at CISL in Cambridge, we picked up the best guys from there and asked them to conduct a 2-day program in Mumbai to the entire board and the senior leadership of Tata Steel. And that program, just like it opened my eyes to what sustainability was, it opened their eyes as well. And it was such a hit that it was decided that we should take it through the entire leadership of Tata Steel, not just the leadership of Tata Steel, but the union leadership of Tata Steel as well. So the first 1 year, I think we conducted around 30 odd such sessions. These were very expensive sessions of professors coming from Cambridge. to the entire leadership and the union leadership of Tata Steel. And subsequently, that made my job much, much easier. There were so many other changes that we made, but the initial hiccup, the initial, let us say, hurdle had been crossed. We had the entire organization rallying behind it, behind sustainability. And I did not find it very difficult in convincing people. And let me tell you the kind of efforts that we put in when you look to implement sustainability in a steel company. There are decisions which you would take, which were, traditionally in a business, you look at decisions which give you a return in terms of money, an internal rate of return, an IRR. Here, we would look at a carbon adjusted internal rate of return. We implemented something called an internal price of carbon. So, and not a small price at that point in time, I'm talking of some 5 years ago, $40 a ton of carbon dioxide, which would be 4,000 rupees per ton. That's a big amount. And not in India also, we don't have this price of actual carbon uh, in the economy. So $40 per ton of carbon dioxide 5 years or ago for every investment decision that we took. If the investment if the investment had carbon emission as part of the investment, then that would be a penalty, a $40 penalty. And that investment will fall down in the list of priority of the organization. But if it prevented emission of carbon dioxide, then it would go up in the hierarchy. So we would decide on projects based on a carbon adjusted IRR, which was a big change for the company and made it happen.
It's really fascinating to know how sustainability later on became the inseparable part of the Tata Steel industry.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah, and the
and
specific
everyone
reason.
openly accepted it.
Yeah, I just gave you one
Open
example.
meetings.
There are so many more, but then this podcast wouldn't be
Yeah.
enough time for all of that. Yeah.
Definitely, sir.
Hmm.
So moving ahead,
Hmm.
steel is often seen as hard to abate sector. In simple terms, could you please explain what is green steel and what are the biggest challenges in producing it, and how close are we to solving them?
Steel is still produced by the conventional, a large part, 70% of the steel in the world is produced through the blast furnaces. And that has been the conventional mode of producing steel since ages. If you're a metallurgist, any of you are metallurgists, you would know it's a countercurrent process where you have the solids coming from the top, hot blast coming from the bottom, and the hot blast has oxygen. The top mass that comes down has the iron ore, which needs to be reduced, and coke, which provides the strength as well as the reducing agent, carbon in it, which reduces the Fe2O3 or Fe3O4 or FeO to Fe, which is iron, right? And that subsequently goes to the basic oxygen furnace or whichever furnace you want to put it in to make steel, refine that further, right? So this has been the process for ages, and the reason has been that this has been the most economical way of doing things with carbon and coke available in plenty in the atmosphere at a economical price. But as the if you're looking to avoid emission of carbon dioxide, you have to get rid of coke. How to get rid of coke? The other reductant available uh, on Mother Earth is hydrogen. So if hydrogen reacts with these oxides of iron, it produces water vapor, right? But hydrogen at this point in time is very expensive, and green hydrogen is more expensive. Today, it is at globally, it is available from $5 to $7 a kg. And unless it comes down to less than $2 a kg, and there is a carbon price attached to emission of carbon, people won't transform or move away from the blast furnaces to green hydrogen based technologies, which are more expensive to produce. And that is why, since this technology is not commercially viable as yet, that is why steel is called a hard to abate sector, right? So this is the reason. And the alternate technologies, Christian, since you asked, the best alternate technology is green hydrogen based ductile reduced iron, direct reduced iron, DRI. The other technologies are electric arc steel making or induction steel making, which is green power based green power based smelting of scrap. But there is not enough scrap available in the Indian economy to smelt. So we have to depend upon the virgin iron through iron ore itself. But in developed economies like the US, like China now becoming developed, large parts of Europe, enough scrap is available. They can use, green power, green energy to smelt scrap there. In India, we have to still depend upon virgin iron ore, and hydrogen-based technologies. Till they become cheaper, it is hard to abate, and India will find it difficult to produce green hydrogen. Now, what is green hydrogen, you ask? I'm sorry. Green hydrogen is what is green steel? Green steel is steel which has as low embedded carbon as possible. Embedded carbon is the carbon dioxide emitted to produce that. Uh, in India, we have brought in a taxonomy for green steel where it is not really zero carbon steel, but varying degrees of reduced steel. So we have called 5-star, 4-star, and 3-star green steels with varying components of embedded carbon in it. But they really aren't green steel in the right technology, if you term it the right way. Green steel would be zero embedded carbon steels, right?
Yes, sir. So while green steel is massive, intensive goal, sustainability also happens in daily habits. What is the one sustainability practice from Tata Steel that you believe every Indian company, regardless of its size, can adopt right now?
See, there are many things. I told you about the internal cost of carbon, right?
Hmm.
There are many things that Tata Steel can be a benchmark for. But one of the biggest things that I saw happen during my tenure, and it started before my tenure as well, something that we led going forward, was a rigorous commitment to circular economy, looking to consider waste as wealth and generate wealth out of that. So, a steel company produces byproducts, which is slag, scrap, and various other gases and stuff, which, just give me a minute, which are waste. At Tata Steel, we used to look at slag, scrap, and these waste products not as just byproducts, but as raw materials for the next process. And in 2017, the total value add from those byproducts was 2,700, 2,800 odd crores per annum. By the time I left in 2023 is when I superannuated. The value was more than 10,000 crores. So that is the kind of focus that was put in creating wealth out of waste. So happy to say that there is zero waste from Tata Steel that goes into landfills or that actually goes waste. So that is something that Tata Steel could be an example of. I'm not saying that we are the only companies or Tata Steel was the only company who did that. There were many others. But this was something that was quite remarkable.
It is incredible to know about Tata's zero waste policy, such a milestone. Um, so it's incredible how operational cultural shift things. Now, looking at modern tools accelerating these shifts, are there any AI applications currently being used in steel manufacturing that genuinely surprise you? And more broadly, how do you see these digital technologies transforming sustainability over the next decade?
Hena, you asked this question to the wrong guy. I am quite illiterate on this subject and many others as well. But what I have heard is about predictive maintenance and how these algorithms, AI-driven algorithms, help in predictive maintenance and thermal profiling of the furnaces, and the speed at which it can analyze data from various sensors is something that human operators would not ever be able to do in real time. And the kind of corrective action that is possible because of these algorithm-driven technologies is something that will help reduce energy consumption. Energy is a big deal in steel making, and that would be a big thing going forward. It's already happening, and more of this will happen as AI improves. And then on sustainability, I believe these real-time blockchain tracking of carbon footprint, this will become more and more transparent across the value chain. And people will get a better idea now with Europe having already put carbon CBAM, the carbon border adjustment mechanism that they have, where they are going to charge for embedded carbon in your products. And these tools, AI-driven tools, will help track what is the amount of embedded carbon in the steel that is entering various geographies. So I believe this is how it will transform the sustainability ecosystem in the world. There could be many more examples, but offhand, this is what came to mind.
So, CMAP definitely is a brilliant innovation. So,
It's
we have covered
not
some deep.
it's not really an innovation. It's a kind of a carbon tax that Europe is going to put on products that enter its
Oh,
market to meet the environment requirements, the carbon requirements of its economy.
sorry, sir, my bad. So, we have
Sure.
covered some deep ground. Let's
Hmm.
shift gears for a quick minute. We have a rapid fire round for you. Just the very first thing that comes to your mind. Are you ready, sir?
Yep.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
So, the first question is that name one book that has influenced your thinking the most.
Um, there would be many, but Bhagavad Gita to begin with.
Oh,
Okay, and I think anyone who has read it, not just Indian, anybody in the globe who has read it or come across it would consider that as a spiritual book, something that you can be guided by, because it's not just religion; it's talking about spirituality for a common man who is faced with the kind of struggles that Arjuna was faced at the point in time that he was in war with his own relatives and paralyzed into inaction by the dilemmas that he faced at that point in time. And most humans are, struggling at any point in time and would relate to the kind of struggles that Arjuna was facing. And the kind of advice that came from Lord Krishna, which uh, guided Arjuna through that path, through Nishkama Karma, you know, uh, Karmanyavadikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana. So, Bhagavad Gita was definitely one book that I would suggest anyone to have a look at, read that. It is not just a religious text; it is something that will help you guide through your various troubles throughout life. There are two more books that I would like to talk about here. One is Atlas Shrugged by Ayn Rand. If you have read Ayn Rand, Atlas Shrugged is one of them, and then Yuval Noah Harari, Sapiens. These are two books that I would recommend to anybody. Will change your concepts big time.
Definitely, sir, definitely. Okay, so next question is, if you were not an engineer, what career would you have pursued?
Um, you're asking me to fantasize. Uh, I would surely, if I had an opportunity, I would not have been an engineer. I would have been either a chef, uh, or I like to cook a little bit, and but there is some commonality with metallurgy there because you have to put in the right kind of ingredients to get the right output. Or I would have been a performer, an actor or a
That is
director.
an interesting career choice, sir.
Yeah. So if I had, when during our times, it took a lot to make a choice beyond a doctor and engineer. So you had to have a lot of guts to choose anything other than these two careers. So at our
So
point
you
in time,
didn't
that
have
was the
much
case.
options back then.
No, I'm saying there were options. There were people who did
People
those
didn't
things, but
usually accept those. The society didn't accept those options.
I'm blaming myself. I didn't have the courage.
Yeah.
I'm not blaming society.
Yes, sir. Sir, if may I ask, what is your favorite dish that you love to cook?
That I love to cook.
Yeah.
I love to make achars. That is something I'm prohibited at home. I am not, my family doesn't allow me to have too much achar. So I cook a lot of achars. I make a lot of achars. I'm a Punjabi, so I do a lot of that. And then rajma is something that I love. So Indian cooking, not not Western cooking.
Glad to know. So the next question is that name one technology that will change the world more than people currently realize.
Can't think of any just now, Irna.
Okay, sir. Take your
No
time.
problem, sir.
Mm.
Next
You
question
you
is,
engage me in cooking and chef and all of that. My mind is there now.
sorry about that, sir.
Hmm.
Okay, my next question is, early morning or late night, when do you do your best thinking?
I'm a nocturnal guy. I, uh, I think that is a human tendency to a person performs his or her best when he's under the cosh, when the pressure is high. And I perform the best when there is a huge time pressure. Have to wake up early in the morning, and I am awake all night looking to do my thinking or finish my work. And that is when I get my best results. Not a good habit. I wouldn't recommend it to anybody.
No,
But
sir. So are we, and most of the students at IIT Bombay.
Yeah, definitely the engineers totally do that.
They pull out the most all-nighters.
yeah, so but I had a lot of colleagues with me who were early morning guys and who performed very well. I used to envy them. They would be up in the morning and doing their thinking. So there are all kinds of people.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
So the next question is one message you would like every engineering student listening to this podcast to remember.
Whatever you do, ultimately it is your character, the integrity that you display that will define you. Whatever field of activity you might be in, if you are not trustworthy, then your brilliance, your academic achievements, your achievements anywhere will mean nothing.
Yeah, that is most crucial for a managerial position or other career paths as well.
Any, any, any. So
Definitely, sir.
it is a fatal flaw. If you do not have that, it's a fatal flaw. People need to work consciously towards ensuring that their integrity is of the highest order and they build trust with their companions, their comrades, their staff, their bosses, their family. So that I would say is one thing that one needs to worry about the most.
Yes, sir, definitely. So we are over with the rapid fire section. So moving ahead to the next question. You have seen the evolution of Indian industry from the late 1980s to the AI era. What is one of the fundamental principle of leadership that has remained unchanged despite all the technological disruption?
Come again, what is the one?
What is the one fundamental principle of leadership that has remained
Leadership.
unchanged? Yes, sir.
The same. The answer is not any different. The principle, uh, one of the principles of leadership that will remain unchanged, has remained unchanged from time immemorial, and to my mind will remain changed going forward, is whether you can uh, whether you can sow the seeds of trust in your organization, in your team at all or not. Whether you are trustworthy, whether your team can believe you. If they can, they will jump off the cliff with you. If they can't, then you can't lure them with any amounts of riches that you have with you. So I think that is one principle of leadership, something that the group Tata and the value system of Tata taught us. And I think that is a principle that will remain evergreen going forward.
Yes, sir, definitely. And this is one of the most greatest quality one leader should possess. Yes, sir.
Agree with
Moving ahead to the next question. India is expected to significantly increase its steel production in the coming decades. How can the country balance economic growth with environmental responsibility?
you. It's a very good question, Krishnans. India is one of the only large economies that is growing at a pace that it is. China today produces 1 billion ton of steel per annum, which is half the steel produced in the world. The world produces 2 billion. We produce 160 million tons, roughly 16% of what China does, 8% of what the world does. But going forward, as we move forward in our journey to becoming a developed nation, we will need to increase steel consumption, steel production, because a developed economy has a steel consumption of close to 400 kg per capita. Indians per capita consumption is close to 100. So we need to increase it by 400 times. So 160 into 3, if not 4, would be 400 and something odd million tons. By mid-century is when we want to become the developed nation. So unprecedented growth in steel capacity is what is going to happen in India, is going to happen, is already happening. But the only ways of producing steel economy that we know of are carbon intensive, the blast furnace route. And it takes $1 million to put up 1 million ton, $1 billion to put up a 1 million ton steel capacity. And a minimum economic size of a steel plant is 3 to 4 million tons of steel capacity. To set up one steel plant is $4 billion. So this is huge amount of capital going into a technology which will have an asset life of 40 to 50 years. And if we invest in carbon intensive blast furnaces to make steel as we grow our economy size, we are going to lock that much carbon in our economy and make our economy that much more unattractive going forward. For people like you who are going to take over from us, you will be faced with the problem of managing those assets and wondering what to do with them. So India faces a huge dilemma. We cannot follow the principle of the West, where we pollute now and clean up later. We will need to jump this cycle and make sure that uh, we circumvent the high carbon intensive technologies and move to the low carbon intensive technologies, even if they are more expensive at this point in time. And the government, the regulator of our time, needs to bring in enough motivation in investors to ensure that this more expensive technology is the one that is chosen for producing steel rather than the more polluting, the dirty technologies which will go, which we have as of now. India will regret being called a dirty economy going forward if we don't do that. And whilst our time is done, it is for you now to make sure that such decisions are not taken. Decisions to
So
produce steel through the blast furnace route. We must move to the next technology.
surely have a long journey ahead of us, a difficult one.
I know, and we have been your culprits.
So, as we wrap up, I want to direct our final questions to the huge audience of the students and young professionals looking up to leaders like you. Putting yourself in their shoes, if you were graduating your college today in 2026 instead of 1986, which field would you choose to step into and why?
I told you I would never have
Yeah.
been an engineer. I would either have been an actor or a director, or I would have been a chef. I would have been in a performing art, somewhere where my efforts would result in almost an immediate feedback in terms of reaction from my customers, from my audience. And that I think is very gratifying, something that I used to cherish when I would do when I was a youngster. I used to act in plays, etc. But as time passed and we needed to make a living, that was not the place where I could sustain myself. But I think these are the times when the opportunities are more, and I might have probably shown some more guts and entered those fields.
Sir, I'm a bit curious that which engineering field would you choose rather than this?
Engineering field. So you are asking me a question that I had not thought of too much. But if I had to choose something, I would choose an intersection of clean technologies, uh, where we could work in developing technologies which would make a difference to the existential problems the world is facing as of now. One of them is carbon, and it is an intractable problem with 7 or 8 sectors which are hard to abate, uh, steel being one of them. And since I come from that sector, maybe I would have loved to create technologies which would have had commercial viability by now, in producing steel, which was greener, in producing cement, which was greener, in producing aviation fuel, which was greener, in producing long distance mobility, which was greener. So, working in areas like that, if I had to choose one technology or one field, I would have chosen that.
So, a fusion of many different core branches, energy
That
engineering as well as environmental. and many
That's
more.
right. That's right.
So, so for those who want to bridge these worlds together, if a student wants to build a career path at intersection of engineering, business, and sustainability, what specific skills should they start building right now while still in university?
Uh, this is again something that comes from practice, and
Yes.
practice comes from when you are in those situations. I wonder how many, whether it's possible to be in such situations when one is in pursuing an academic life. But in business, when if you have to grow, you must have the skill set to be able to look at the larger picture, the eagle's eye view, as well as the nitty-gritty, the worm's eye view. So you need to be able to toggle between these two at will. So you should be able to get into the nitty-gritty, solve a problem, and then immediately move up, look at the organization from a higher pedestal, see where the next problem is, and if required, go into the next nitty-gritty. If you can't toggle between these uh, two view sets with ease, you might not be able to move at a pace you want to. And believe me, it is difficult. Some people have this uh, very nice knack of solving the nitty gritty problems. Okay. And they remain there. They find it very difficult to uh, look at the problem from a higher altitude, holistically. Some people who have the who have the aptitude to look at the problem from a holistic point of view, they find it very difficult to solve the nitty gritties. So if you can do both and toggle between these two places at will, then that's a skill that is very useful to have. Okay, so I really wonder whether you've understood this or not, but one day you surely will.
No, sir, that is a great advice. So, sir, thank you so much for sharing your incredible journey, your insights on the future of green industry, and such grounded advice for next generation. It has been an absolute pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you so much, Irna. Thank you so much, Krishnans, and to your Energy and Sustainability Club.
Yes,
Yes, sir.
sir.
Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you, sir, for this meaningful insights. And to all our listeners, thank you for tuning in. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Bye, sir.
यस
हो गया भाई
थोड़ा बहुत बीच में से एडिट करना पड़ेगा मैं बोलती हूँ कौन सा पार्ट रिमूव करना है ठीक
हाँ
है अच्छा